This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carinante.
Welcome to the Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib. Thomas Carinante is off. He will be back on Monday. If you're missing a co-host, you'll get one soon enough. Appreciate everybody tuning in, listening on your favorite podcast platforms. Checking in with you on a Thursday, slightly late, but we are here. And I'm here to situate you after the Yankees swept the Royals. If you watched Monday's show with special guest co-host Danny Wexelman, we thank her again from SNY for filling in. She said, hey, Adam, that's me. If you're on a personal losing streak, you should probably go to this Royals series. I think the Yankees are going to bring the bats. And I was like, I hear you. But as a Yankee fan, Seth Lugo, that guy kills us. Michael Wacha, that guy kills us. Lefty, Chris Bubich in the third game, you sure? Like, can't hit lefties this year. Sorry. And sometimes the objective analysis is nice to have. Danny was right. Yankees didn't exactly bring the bats, but they brought the clutch hitting gene, and the bullpen held on. They went Luke Weaver and Devin Williams back-to-back in the first two games, early season milestone, and it worked both times. If Devin Williams still makes you nervous, I get it. I'm here. Not going to tell you he's got, rock solid bedrock foundation. There's no reason to ever feel anxious when he's on the mound. He still put runners on in these games, but he cleaned up both the first two. Luke Weaver was brilliant, and Fernando Cruz, how about that save in the third one? Hey, imagine if Juan Soto was in right field instead of Cody Bellinger in game three. Let's go game by game, but also just, hey, what's your favorite game of the sweep? We're going to talk about Nolan Arenado as well. We're going to talk about Luis Gil. We are going to talk about the aforementioned Juan Soto. We're going to close our show that way. But hey, to start, understand, hey, recency bias may be at play, but you've got the homer barrage on Seth Lugo in game one to choose from when all of a sudden everybody's going deep. Ben Rice, Austin Wells. You've got the Jasson Dominguez bases clearing double that knocked his contacts out in game two. And Fernando Cruz stepping up and looking a little like Dellin Betances in game three. Two full innings when the bullpen was not at full strength. They were trying to avoid Ian Hamilton, and Ryan Yarborough, I believe, was warming up in the ninth when he was struggling a little bit to get the final out, which definitely made me go, what's going on here? But he gets the job done. It's capped by Belly's heroics. Recency bias, it is really hard not to go with the last one. I'm jaded. I'm a writer. I'm a podcaster. I'm prepping during these games. I'm creating content. I'm scrambling. I screamed after the final out. You know what it takes to make me scream at baseball these days? It's less easy than it used to be, and I think that's a good thing because it means I'm not throwing stuff or punching tables anymore. But I screamed out loud when Bellinger came down with that one. And I'm also going to give a middle finger to the establishment. 95% catch probability, robot. Okay, are you sure about that? Really? Does that take into account the fact that it was the last out of the game? Does that take into account the fact that he stumbled into the dive? Does that take into account the gravity of the moment? No. And even if it did take all those things into account, you cannot 95% catch probability the excitement out of me on that play. That's why I don't care. People quoting these mathematical formulas back at me to tell me something I just loved watching wasn't actually that interesting. I don't care. That's where the statistical break needs to happen. I don't need anyone to tell me the catch probability of that play on a neutral field based on spin of the ball, but not based on the uniforms being worn by both players and the moment in which the catch occurs. You're telling me that's easy? What about the stumble? You're telling me that's easy? No, you're not. I'm not listening to you. You can tell me all you want. I'm not listening to you. I loved that ending and that moment. And don't forget the Cody Bellinger, who's been in almost as much of a slump as Jazz Chisholm lately. Probably the Yankees trying to dig himself out the hardest, except for maybe Oswald Peraza. Also delivered an RBI double in that game, a game that the Yankees ultimately won by exactly one run. So without Cody Bellinger, they're not up. Without Cody Bellinger, we are not in the locker room at the end of that game as Frank plays. It was weird a little bit to hear Dave Sims screaming at the end of that instead of John Sterling as Frank, the tones spread in the background. But excellent call. Everybody is earning their pinstripes one by one here. Forgotten heroes from this series. I mean, Mark Leiter Jr. buzzed through the seventh yesterday. And got the final out of the sixth to take Clark Schmidt off the hook. And Clark Schmidt, by the way, forgotten hero, first start of the season, first inning of the game, First and second, one out, a run already in. The heart of the Royals lineup doing their damage and clogging the bases, and he just got out of it. And then he didn't look back until, yes, the middle of the game. He's tired a little bit in the fifth. He gives up a ribby triple. They play the infield back for whatever reason. Jonathan India ties the game on a dribbler. Lots of redemption in this series. Anthony Volpe, by the way, bases loaded slumber in the first inning yesterday. And then what does he do the next time he comes out with 2 outs and runners on base and 1 in scoring position? Torpedo double, hits the barrel in a left field corner, knocks in 2. Essential. They don't win the game without him. A more sung hero, by the way. I would be remiss if I didn't just sit here and talk about Aaron Judge for a little bit. Like, what am I going to do a podcast today and not talk about Aaron Judge? Last 149 games, he's accrued 13 WAR with 61 home runs. That's April 27th of last year. Yankee World pulled that, timed it up, charted it up on Fangraphs. Aaron Judge is hitting 409, 7 homers and 21 RBI. I mean, the counting stats, the rate stats, the below the hood stuff. There's no better right-handed hitter in baseball. And we just so desperately need that rampaging October so that the rest of the world can shut the hell up and appreciate what they're watching. And actually what they're not watching. That's the thing. You're not watching. If you don't appreciate it, you're not watching. You're waiting till October so you can get your jokes off. And congratulations to you. A sickening way to watch sports. But you don't like the Yankees, so you don't want to watch anyway. That's okay. We'll watch it. It'll be for us. You don't want to watch Aaron Judge and appreciate what he's doing every day. Then that's okay. You don't have to. I'm not telling you what to enjoy. I'm just telling you what to appreciate. And I'm going to go ahead and appreciate it. 519 OBP to start the year, by the way. Last year started on an icy cold snap where he was barely there for the month of April, and he wasn't really locked in spring training this year either. And it made you think, okay, I guess I can accept a bad April if I have to. I know I'll see the Aaron Judge I've gotten used to in May. Well, apparently I don't have to accept a bad April because I'm receiving abject brilliance every day from Aaron Judge, who's pointedly not using the torpedo bat, which I think we can all say 2.5 weeks in, it's helpful. It's a good biometric tool. It's not a hack. It's not a cheat. It's not automatic. Aaron doesn't want to use it because what he's doing works really well. And I would say, yeah, 3 for 3 with a game tie-breaking home run yesterday, 2 for 3 the day before, 2 for 4 the day before, 1 for 3, 2 for 4. And even when the Powers, he went 10 games without a homer, and he didn't even miss a beat. He's the best right-handed hitter in baseball. We were absolutely robbed in 2023 of about 50 more games of Aaron Judge from a freak accident at Dodger Stadium. And I don't think any of us should ever forgive the architects, whoever's responsible for Dodger Stadium. I mean, look, there are many reasons we shouldn't forgive the architects at Dodger Stadium. They put the stadium in the middle of a neighborhood that displaced a whole bunch of, Hispanic minorities. So already Chavez Ravine, there's a reason to be skeptical upon its creation. And perhaps we should, let's consider a curse there. The curse of Aaron Judge's toe. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got for the Dodgers moving forward. It'd be great if the Dodgers would regress a little bit. And they've got the Padres barking at them. So that could be fun. Yeah, Aaron Judge, not a forgotten hero of the series. But again, while we're talking about like the incremental differences in that series where the Yankees won 3 close games in a row against a team that deserves your attention, a contender for all intents and purposes, at least in the AL Central, Yankees swept them and they won the same close game essentially 3 times. The bullpen stepped up 3 times. And Aaron Judge, quite simply, without the protection, without Juan Soto hitting in front of him, without Giancarlo Stanton hitting behind him, with a less than optimized lineup, it just does not matter. There is nobody better. There's no argument for anybody better. You want to talk to me about Shohei Ohtani from the other side of the plate? You can, but you know what you can't do is lead with, well, he pitches too. He actually doesn't anymore. He used to pitch. Maybe someday he will pitch again. It was spectacular when he did. But for now, I think we're actually good on that argument. Thank you, though. Aaron Judge, spectacular. I'm going to also give Anthony Volpe extra credit for the funniest one-on-one rivalry probably in the game today, the Anthony Volpe-Michael Garcia rivalry. I don't know why. I don't know what compelled Michael Garcia to tweet last October, But I will say it was kind of the first moment in that series. Things are starting to go awry for the Yankees and slip a little bit, where I was like, I think the Yankees are actually going to win this series. Michael Garcia tweeted, "Don't celebrate too early," about Carlos Rodon in the second inning or first inning, throwing those haymakers and screaming in game 2 of the ALDS. Michael Garcia, you deleted the tweet because "don't celebrate too early" is a ridiculous sentiment after game 2 of a 1-1 playoff series. Yankees, of course, won the next 2, knocked the Royals out, and he had to go ahead and eat that tweet. But he tried to fight the Yankees on the field in game 4 behind Garrett Cole because he probably learned in the Garrett Cole playbook what you're supposed to do is throw him off his rhythm and make sure he struggles to execute because he gets distracted by something behind him. It's also the Carlos Rodon playbook. Garcia tried to start a fight on a hard tag from Volpe for no reason. Volpe just stood there, iron face, flipped the ball back. I'm not interacting with this clown. But obviously the bench is cleared because the benches have to clear. Didn't make a difference in the game. Yankees won anyway. Michael Garcia goes home for the winner. Yesterday, Anthony Volpe takes a throw. Just so happens to take his glove hand directly into Garcia's face. It's the most convenient place for him to tag. Shoulder wasn't where the throw was. He went with the hop. He tagged Garcia in the jaw pretty hard. Probably not fun for Garcia, but then again, not a lot of things have been since game 2 of the ALDS last year series that the Yankees won. And they enacted some revenge on Seth Lugo. They enacted some revenge on Michael Wacha, who always feels like he could just put the Yankees to sleep until the moment when he just stops doing it. Quicker hook probably necessary because Angel Zerpa came in with the bases loaded and could not find home plate. I really liked that too. I think I tweeted during the DS last year that if Aaron Judge couldn't win this Angel Zerpa battle in a critical moment, that I would watch the rest of the game upside down. And he did. And then again, in this game, like bases loaded, Austin Wells, lefty, Zerpa. Like I can see him dotting. I can see him getting out of that. And as soon as he's 2-0 and he's going to the pitch comm, trying to say, I can't hear. That's the problem. It's definitely not that I can't concentrate or find my spots and I'm struggling with the pressure of Yankee Stadium. It's definitely the pitch comm. At that moment, I'm like, all right, they better make this guy pay or else I'm going to be furious he wasted my time by pausing the game. Thank you, New York Yankees, for letting that happen. So a fantastic series against KC. The Yankees are 11-7 and all of a sudden have the best record in the American League. They take that to an exact replica of their stadium in Tampa into the whirlpool vortex against the Rays. No one knows what the Rays are at this point in time. Also, the Rays don't know what the Rays are. Last series, they started by thumping the Red Sox 16-1. They lost the series finale 1-0 to Boston, and they lose the series in the aggregate score-wise, 20-9. They win the series, but the Red Sox win the series in actuality because game score is what actually matters. I hate this team so much. I hate the Rays so much. You can't do my business when you win the first game of a 3-game set against the Red Sox 16-1. You can't do business for the rest of the series. Will this stadium continue being a launching pad, or are the games going to start to look more like the series finale that Boston and the Rays just played? Are the Yankees going to be somewhat silenced by the Rays pitching lab? This is a 4-game series, including our nemesis, Drew Rasmussen, coming back from serious arm trouble, and Shane Baz, who won that 16-1 game and looked filthy. We don't get Zach Littell and his inflated ERA, even though, yes, he was awesome yesterday. We don't get the trouble spot. We get Ryan Pepio, probably the worst guy in thick quotes that we face in the finale. Will Warren start Thursday is the key for me because he was hurtling towards not being worth protecting. Keep Carlos Carrasco. Don't DFA him. Send Warren down when Clark Schmidt comes back. The Stroman injury allows Warren to stay up for another cycle or two, but Stroman's knee inflammation is not believed to be serious. Warren going 5 innings, 2 runs, and finally getting his first big league win in many opportunities against the Giants on Saturday was a great step forward. So now it's up to Will Warren to show us, is that a genuine step? Is it another learning experience? How ready are we? And we're going to have to prioritize someone on a very different stage of life whenever Stroman is ready. Do the Yankees keep Warren up? Are they willing to sacrifice Carlos Carrasco as a depth option? I would not be willing to do that. Are they planning to do something devious with Stroman? Keep him on the injured list or just cut bait on the contract entirely? It's up to Will Warren to make that decision difficult. And tonight is the opportunity for him to show, okay, I took a tangible step forward last time, or all right, another blip on the radar. I've got a lot to learn, and I understand you should probably sacrifice me to the baseball gods and send me to AAA right now. Could be a very fun series. Wish it was not 4 games long. Gonna be really weird playing at a road stadium called George M. Steinbrenner Field. Want to posit a couple of things. Luis Gil's timeline has been pushed back. There could be some panic here. I understand it. If you want to get angry, get angry. I don't have the time right now because the calculus has not changed. First of all, what's another 10 days? I didn't expect him back before the All-Star break anyway. If you don't expect that, your life will be better. Don't anticipate an early return for Luis Gil. Just keep it in the back pocket, knowing that this isn't the rotation the Yankees intended to roll out there. There are talented arms, even after Schmidt came back, still on the shelf. And this team will not be complete in any capacity until we see what it looks like when you're able to run out Fried, Rodon, Schmidt, Gil, and trade deadline edition, right? Because there needs to be a trade deadline edition. We're not going to know what the Yankees look like. We're not going to know what their playoff fate could be or what their ceiling is until we're able to see that in sequence. But if we have to wait for it, we will. And Gil's return or presence should not distract the Yankees from the reality that they have to make a real play at the trade deadline here. They have to hope their farm system continues this awakening, that George Lombard Jr. continues to hit. Spencer Jones had a big day at Somerset doubleheader the other day. You need to maximize that because you can't leave this season. There's no reason why the New York Yankees should not be among the World Series favorites, especially the American League favorites. But they need to get that pitching right in order to do so. You need to see those four guys with one more semi-ace caliber pitcher tacked on. And whether it takes me till June, July to see Gil, doesn't matter. You need reinforcements, and you need serious reinforcements at the trade deadline regardless. I want to put Nolan Arenado back on everybody's radar a little bit, because I do think a lot of people were turned off by the idea of adding Paul Goldschmidt this offseason and saying, well, he'll bounce back out of a bad situation in St. Louis. There are more factors and more reasons to believe that Nolan Arenado might not be translatable in New York. The park factor, the back issues, those are nagging, etc. Understood, but Goldie's gone pretty well so far. And it turns out believing in the second half bump maybe wasn't so ridiculous after all, right? We were thinking about, hey, is it sustainable? The progress against left-handers, the hard hit metrics that line up from the second half. Truly, what do we believe what we see? And to start the season for the Yankees, the slug has not necessarily been there. Maybe when things heat up, 348 with a 397 OBP and 152 OPS plus and rock solid defense for the most part, except for Sunday against San Francisco from Goldschmidt. I'm going to go ahead and take it. And guess what? They didn't even need to get Arenado out of St. Louis for him to unlock a little bit, because he's already doing it. He's hitting 311 with a 400 OBP and a 158 OPS plus, basically the same numbers with a little more power. He didn't even need a change of scenery. Now, with the caveat that it is possible that the change of scenery hurts rather than helps because of the park factor, because of the sudden change in expectations. I get it. But last year we were saying that Arenado was in the doldrums in St. Louis, and that's why you couldn't apply whatever he was doing, the behavioral stuff, because the season just didn't matter. They could not get on track. Put him in a winning environment, and he will start producing again. Forget the park factor, right? And you got road games anyway, so why do you care? Well, he has already woken up in St. Louis. He has managed to motivate himself. He heard the doubters. He knew that he was being disrespected. The Yankees may have cost themselves trade ammo here, because whoever's trying to get Nolan Arenado this summer might not be able to get him at the relatively insignificant trade capital price they could have gotten him for if they had pulled the trigger this offseason and had the faith. The Yankees had the faith in one of the two former Cardinals, soon to be former Cardinals, and not in the other one. Are they going to maintain that steely resolve, or are they going to go back to the well? Because we love Oswaldo Cabrera. The OPS isn't there. We like Oswald Peraza, but he has not been a difference maker. The needle has not moved. He's just sort of been a man who plays sometimes. Pablo Reyes had a great spring, got one start this year, made, I believe, 36 errors, and has never been heard from again. So third base isn't solved. Pitching is the number one priority. It's the number one place where the depth has been leached since the Yankees built their grand plan and their offseason depth chart. But I'm not going to forget about third base, and I'm not going to ignore Nolan Arenado. So just throwing it back on the radar. I wasn't in favor this offseason. I'm not saying I'm in favor now. I'm saying watch the behavior, see if the proof gets a little more tangible. And now let's close with Juan Soto. And Met fans turning on Juan Soto, and Juan Soto going 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts and a bases loaded double play, and their extra inning walk-off loss to Minnesota yesterday. Very funny timing. And shout out to Aaron Judge for not engaging on this. And Juan Soto is going to be fine. right? Even in his slow start where he has not been making much of a difference, the Mets are 11-7, and Soto's been an above average offensive baseball player. But Soto going public, thinking about Aaron Judge and saying that I'm not I'll never have the same protection of the best right-handed hitter in baseball and whatnot, and the nobody better, no one better, the lip reading from the World Series. I mean, that was already on Met fans' minds, which is ironic because they spent all of last season just thinking about how he'd be one of them soon enough and saying, don't even enjoy him because why bother? Because Stevie Cohen is going to go ahead and outspend you. And now that he's there, they're like, man, he's really hung up on the Yankees, huh? He really likes his old team, huh? Interesting. It's like, yeah, maybe you got to live in the moment a little bit, Met fans. You spent all of last year trying to pollute it while he was making real memories. Feels a little bit inauthentic. This is what I warned you about, Met fans. But you become the big dog. You start buying all the player capital, you start becoming an all-star team, it feels a little bit less authentic, right? And when a guy doesn't pay off immediately, your expectations are astronomical for Juan Soto, the highest paid player in baseball history, and then he shows up and he's just really good, pretty good, and occasionally has a bad day. You are going to get jaded and aggravated because, in part, you think I'm paying all this. Why isn't Juan Soto just a dominant demon every single day? But in part, because you've lost your soul a little bit. You are what you hated. Those tweets about when Vlad Jr. hadn't extended yet and he was talking to Juan Soto in the outfield, Met fans tweeting like, oh my God, Vladdy can't wait to be a Met. It was like, aren't you doing the Yankee fan thing that you guys have hated on for generations, just assuming that everyone on every team across Major League Baseball is destined to be one of your players because you're the only team that plays real baseball and everybody else is playing some imitation game? Just want you to be careful because some of it is that soulless feeling you have. Some of it is the expense and the expectations and the thought that this was the year and things looking like, okay, so far, so close, but not quite. But some of it is that souring of the reality that, okay, now you're the big dog. Nobody likes you. And when you win, it's going to feel a little bit like, wow, we did not use our own model. We used the Steinbrenner model to get here. A new wrinkle, though, in these Soto discussions that I do not understand at all. He claims, I mean, look, when I say I don't understand it at all, I do understand it. It just makes it more plainly about money and more plainly about, he even said that Steve Cohen just in the last couple hours, Soto was going to be a Yankee. And then Steve Cohen just basically said yes to everything, like negotiation off, last minute tactic. I'll approve everything. Yes, yes, yes. Yes to a suite. Yes to control, And that's when Soto was like, oh my God, I got him in the palm of my hand. I can't not do this. He's acquiescing to everything I want. So that's why Juan Soto's a Met and his family and all that stuff. Follow the fold. But he claimed a couple of weeks ago that he made the decision based on long-term future more than 5 to 6 years down the line, implying that we don't know what the Yankees are going to look like at that point, but we do know what the Mets are going to look like because of their farm or just because you have faith in the financials and that Steve Cohen's going to keep providing? Because that I'm not sure. He has said this level of spending is unsustainable. So I'm not sure if I believe in that long-term, just spend crazy future. But anyway, if Soto's decision, like he says, was based on beyond the 5 or 6 years, what does that future look like? Why did he choose the team where his protection wasn't even locked up yet for the year, let alone in perpetuity? Aaron Judge is here through 2031, end of his career. He's ending it here. He might not be your protection the whole time. He might not be a number 3 hitter that whole time, but he's not going anywhere. When Juan Soto said that the Mets had it figured out for at least, not only 5, 6 years, but beyond that, they didn't have protection. They had Mark Vientos, who, no shade to Mark Vientos, is proving this season why one playoff run does not a consistent player make. They didn't have Pete Alonso locked up. And not only that, but he's going to opt out. He's not going to be locked up beyond this year. Do they want to extend that marriage? Is that the point when the spending becomes uncomfortable? Because you made it pretty uncomfortable this year with Alonso. He's also been just about as good as it gets this year, right? I don't have Aaron Judge protecting me anymore. You got a guy with an 1,100 OPS hitting bombs like a bear. So you got something. I promise you, man, Mr. Soto, Mets fans aren't going to buy this for that much longer, man. They're not fools. They don't want to hear about Aaron Judge. They don't want to hear about the Yankees. I know you're just being complimentary, but they do not want to hear it. So the longer this goes, the longer it goes where you're just really good, pretty good, fine, instead of incredible, the less of this you can afford. Because eventually your rope's going to run out. And Met fans who may not be comfortable at this point in time with the soullessness of the whole thing are just going to get even more jaded. You're not one of theirs. You made that clear when you talked about the Yankees again this week. You want to be. You should want to be. You signed up for it. We'll see you again on Monday. Thomas Carinante will be back. We are going to do a live show again every Monday, every Thursday, 2 o'clock Eastern. Cannot wait to return. The Yankees are heading down to Tampa this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, on a road trip to, again, their spring training home. It's going to be weird. It's going to feel a little bit inauthentic, just like the Mets fan experience these days. It's not going to feel like regular season baseball. I'll try to get over that. And one win will change that calculus. You'll start feeling better. Just try to keep banking wins. Stack them as best you can. You're facing nasty arms. It feels like you're facing a nasty arm every day because you have been since the Pirates series. Treading water is probably a low bar. Let's keep doing what we're doing. Let's keep executing. Let's keep getting the rookies their advancement. Let's keep Jasson Dominguez's trajectory going upward. Let's keep the contacts in his eyeballs. And then let's see what we can do. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. Thomas Carinante is Tommy's_takes. He will be back next week. Until then, take care, everybody. Good sweep. Good job. Silence some doubters. Some of those doubters were internal. Some of those doubters were in my brain. Either way, better to win than lose. It's what I always say. We'll see you on Monday.